Before investing in any public company, there is one document that can answer most of your important questions. It explains what the company sells, where the revenue is coming from, and how much profit it has earned in that year. And that document is the annual report, usually filed in the United States as Form 10K. The problem is that it can be more than 100 pages, and so many of us do not know where to start and how to start. So in this video, I'll show you a simple reading order using Apple's fiscal year 2025 as an example, where you do not need to read every pages. You also do not need to have a financial degree. We will just focus on 5 very important areas, and that is the businesses, risk factor, management's explanation, income statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. So a Form 10K is an annual filing required for public companies in the United States. And if you go to investor.gov, explains that it includes the company's businesses description, risk factor, management discussions. For Apple's fiscal 2025 filing, the report covers the year ended September 27, 2025. And the table of content tells us exactly where to go. Start with the table of content. Do not read randomly. So starting with the step 1, how to understand the business. So this section explains what the company actually does. Apple says it designs, manufactures smartphones, it sells services, it has tablet and so many different accessories. That sounds very simple, but we need to go one level deeper. How much revenue comes from each category? So in 2025, Apple reported total net sale of approximately $416 billion, and about $209 billion came from iPhone, meaning roughly half of the total revenue that came from just one category. Its services has also generated $109 billion, that grew 14% from the previous year. Now, we learn that there are 2 important things here. Apple has a large growing services business with very different economic from hardware. But at the same time, company relies heavily on iPhones. This is why business section matters a lot. It helps us understand which number and risk deserves the most. That leads us to the risk factor. That is our step 2. So when you go to item 1A, that is risk factor, many investors skip this section because it contains very tough legal languages and some risk appears every year. But this is where the company tells us what could be the damaging factor for revenue, margin, supply, reputation. For Apple, important areas include global supply chain, competition, demand, regulations, cybersecurity, tariffs, and so many other factors. Not try to kind of understand each factor. So do not try to memorize each paragraph. Look for risk that connects directly for the company's biggest revenue source and competitive language. So if I have to ask, I would ask, what happens if customers starts keeping the phone for a longer time? What happens if regulation changes app stores economics? What if supply chains or sales in China declines? So the risk factor is not predicting that these events will happen. It is giving us a structured list of questions, and that leads us to step 3, that is read management's discussion, which is also called as MD&A. And this section explains why revenue, margins, expenses, and cash flow changes. The financial statements tell us what happened. MD&A helps explain why. For example, Apple reported in 2025, sales increased partly because of higher iPhone and services revenue. It also reported that China sales has declined compared with the previous year. So services growth came from areas including advertising, app store, and cloud services. So these explanations helps us identify the drivers to monitor in the next report. But we should not accept every explanation without checking the numbers. Management may be focused and favorable in certain areas, and our job is to compare the explanation with the full financial trend. This is the place where we should also compare management's language from one year to the next. If management previously described a problem as temporary and the same problem continues for several years, that deserves our attention. So look for changes in the words such as demand, pricing, competition, inventory, customer behaviors, and capital spending. A small change in management's explanation can sometimes be more useful than a headline numbers. Next is the income statement. It answers one main question: did the company generate profit during that period. So at the top, you will see the revenue or net sales for Apple in 2025. Total net sale were approximately $416 billion. That is up by 6% from its last year. And when you subtract the direct cost of products and services to reach gross profit, so total gross margin was approximately $195 billion. That is equals to 46.9% of sales. However, the segment detail is even more useful. Product gross margin was 36.8%, while services gross margin was 75.4%. This explains services growth can have a major effect on companies' overall profitability. So when reading an income statement, I generally ask, is revenue growing? Are gross and operating margin improving or weakening? Are expenses growing faster than revenue? And when you ask this question, do not look at only 1 year. Compare at least 3 to 5 years if it is available. One strong year may reflect temporary demand. A multi-year trend tells us much more, and that is next balance sheet. So the second statement is the balance sheet. The income statement covers a period of time. The balance sheet is a snapshot on one date. It shows assets, liability, and shareholder equity. Assets include investment, receivable, inventory, cash, property, and other resources. Whereas liability includes supplier payments, debt, taxes, lease, and other obligations. For example, one important line is debt. At the end of fiscal year 2025, Apple reported approximately $90.7 billion in debt. That sounds a very big number, but number must be compared with Apple's cash, marketable securities, earnings, and cash flow. A company with $90 billion of debt and weak generation of cash is very different from a company generating more than $100 billion in operating cash flow. Also remember that shareholder equity can be affected by years of share repurchases. This is why debt to equity should not be used without context. So when reading the balance sheet, ask, can current asset cover current obligations? How much cash and investments are available? Is inventory growing faster than sales? So the balance sheet tells us how much flexibility the company has when business conditions become difficult. Moving on to the cash flow statement. So this is the third statement which helps us see how actual cash moved during the year. It has 3 sections. Operating activity shows cash produced by the core business. Investing activities include purchases of equipment, investment, and acquisitions. Financial activities include debt, dividends, and share repurchases. So in year 2025, Apple approximately generated $111 billion in operating cash, and they spent approximately $12.7 billion on property, plant, and equipment. So if you simply calculate, the free cash flow is going to be $98.8 billion. Free cash flow is not a perfect metric and definition can differ, but it gives us a useful picture of cash remaining after a capital spending. Now, when you compare cash flow with net income, Apple reported $112 billion in net income and $111.5 billion in operating cash flow. Those figures were relatively close. If a company reports growing profit while operating cash flow remains negative for several years, we need to understand why. It could be timing, heavy growth investment, working capital, or a warning about earnings quality. So cash flow does not replace the income statement, it checks it. Also look at financial cash flow. So Apple reported a large amount of cash for share repurchases and dividends. Returning cash can benefit shareholders, but we should also ask whether the business is first funding its operation, research, and required investment. For other companies, financing cash flow may reveal that operations are not producing enough cash and the business is depending on new debt or new shares. That is why the 3 cash flow sections should be read together. Moving on to footnotes, share count, and the auditor. If the first review looks good, the next place to go is footnotes. Footnote explains detail that may not fit inside the main table. They can show debt, segment revenue, stock-based compensation, acquisition. For technology companies, I pay attention to share-based compensation and the diluted share count. A company may report higher total earnings, but if it issues many new shares, earning per share may grow more slowly. Also find the independent auditor's report. The auditor does not guarantee that the company is good investment. The opinion addresses whether the financial statement are presented fairly under the applicable accounting rules. If the auditor identifies a material weaknesses or going concern issue a qualified opinion that deserves careful attention. Finally, distinguishes GAAP results from adjusted and non-GAAP results. Adjusted figure can be useful and companies decide which items to exclude and which items to not. Now finally, the checks before you start investing in any of these. Read the business section, read the major risk factor connected to revenue and margins. Use MD&A to understand why the latest results change. Check revenue margins, net income, cash debt, and operating cash flow. 5. Write down 3 questions for the next quarter. So this is the review that may take 10 or 15 minutes. If the company still looks interesting, then read deeper into footnotes, segment information, compensation, acquisition, share-based compensation, and accounting policies. So the stocks school can help us organize the main trend before opening the full report. You can see revenue, margins, cash flow, debt valuation, and risk in a simpler format. Then you can use 10K as the primary source to verify the numbers and understand these details. This website is research starting point. The annual report is the company's official record.